Okay, perfect. How are you?
I'm good. I just got done teaching.
Awesome. All right, where are you at now? I think you're at your own studio, right?
I just left my own studio. I'm actually in my a treatment room, a facial treatment room.
Oh, okay. Are you at the Are
Yeah,
you at the studio right now?
I just left there. I'm just in a room in my house.
Perfect. Well, I think you said you've never been on a podcast. We just started jumping into
I
it, and we start talking.
want to talk. It's weird.
Well, I don't know if you know what I'm up to. I'm up to it's called Savage Syndicate, and we're doing everything to keep people basically the average person hard to kill. And a large part of that is fitness. You can't defend yourself if you're a lazy piece of shit, I guess. So you're the one who actually got me into yoga, and a lot of people ask me now about yoga, and I say, yeah. I mean, we'll go through this, but the stigmata with yoga is, oh, it's an all women thing. If you do yoga for a guy, you're a big wuss, and this and that. And I tell everybody now, I could probably kick your ass, and I do yoga. Like, I love yoga. It saved me from injuries. It's helped me out. It's helped my fighting because I'm more limber, I'm more flexible. But I mean,
Is that still the stigma?
yeah, because everybody I know who I say do, like, I have a guy who's in Cabo who surfs, and I said, start doing yoga. I'm not doing yoga. What am I going to do? All these little weird poses. And I said, my man, that is not what yoga is about at all. Like, and he started doing it, and he's 100%. Now he's like, yeah, my back's feeling better. I can do this. I know. I'm like, so yeah. And then I talked to a guy in jiu-jitsu who has a back issue. And I said, my man, every morning I wake up and I do some yoga poses, whether it's a class on YouTube, or if I do the ones that I've learned through you and other people. It's kept me out of severe injuries, I think. So, I mean, I don't
What?
know. In my group, they still have the stigma of like, oh, it's for all for women and flexible things and this and that. I'm like, nah, it's helped me a lot, tremendously.
I honestly, I think they say that because they're scared to try it.
Yeah, that could be too.
I really think everyone knows they should be doing yoga but it's a different. The problem is all of us have at some point been in a gym,
Mm.
right? We all, whether we've done it or not, have done a bicep curl, at some point in our life, have done a squat, or they've heard, right, the terminology. So you can translate it in your mind at some point. Yoga is different because it's a different language. So it's like walking into like a language class and never hearing the language, and you're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
So I think that's the problem. Is it's a difficult thing to wrap your head around, because when you walk into something, no one knows what a mountain pose is. No one talks about it growing up. No
mm,
one knows what a chair pose. They don't talk about it growing up. So I think that's a way of someone being a way to say I'm scared to do
yeah,
yoga.
yeah,
Like men, or I'm not flexible. I think that's a way of saying I'm scared to try it.
yeah. I
But
agree.
remember that everyone, from the most seasoned yogi to the beginner yoga, has a first class,
Yeah,
and everyone has compassion for that person that comes into their first class.
yeah,
And if you go into the community, they open up their hands and they're like, we want you to stay, and we want to support you, and we want to make you better, and
yeah.
we want you to keep coming back, because if you keep coming back, you're a better person, and the world needs more people that are better. So that's the great thing about yoga, is it's more than being on the four corners of your mat, moving your body. It's connection to community, and everybody wants better for everybody, and everybody wants the world to be a better place. So it's so much more than even movement.
I think how you just described yoga is, I think, the way you can describe mixed martial arts as well, because it has a stigma of going in there and just beating the shit out of each other. But in actuality, everybody has that first class. Everybody's scared of getting hit or tapping out or whatever. But then the community embraces you, and exactly what you just described yoga is what mixed martial arts is.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that people still think that, defending yourself is a bunch of brutal people going into, and it's the same thing. Yoga and mixed martial arts, I think, are the same thing. Once you get into that community, you don't ever want to leave, and that group never wants you to leave, because it's so
No.
like, I went to a jiu-jitsu tournament last weekend, and people think there'd be a bunch of no-neck people walking around wanting to kill each other, it's probably the safest environment you can be because everybody's friendly. Like if you accidentally bump, oh, I'm so sorry, I apologize, or we're just so friendly to each other. And that's the same thing I think with yoga is like everybody I've met through yoga, yourself included, is awesome. Like, and it humbles you just like jiu-jitsu did for me. And you walk in there, and I think I was the first one who went, or I was yours class was the first one I took, and I was like, I don't even know what to expect. Like, am I like it was just a whole new world, and I liked it. I loved it. Kicked my flipping ass, but I think I took your sculpting class, which is a whole different yoga, and that completely kicked my ass.
Well, I think I remember you walking into the gym on the other side, grabbing 25-pound weights, bringing them in because you're super strong, right? So you come in and go, I'm super strong. I work out all the time. I can do this. And I
Yeah,
think the first class, those weights were down, lighter weights were in.
yeah.
So as a very funny way to draw your ego down. But I
Uh,
have to go with what you said. If you go, and you'll know this too, I think probably going back to where you are, if you move with ego, it has a really fascinating way to weed you out,
yeah,
right? Because you won't feel supported. Nobody
yeah,
wants people like that. You'll know that that's not your space because ego gets driven out quickly.
yeah,
And if that's who you are, you'll know right away that that's not the community that you should be in
yeah,
because you feel different,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Because if you move with ego, it's you don't feel like people will start to look at you. What is wrong with this person?
yeah,
Like
and
it'll humble you or it'll weed you out of that community.
well, and
You don't last.
I had that going in. I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be falling over. I'm going to be like klutz in there. You stop thinking about what other people are thinking because you're so focused, and the mental game is you have to be so on point that within 2 minutes I'm like, I don't even care what other people are doing. I'm just trying to, stay in these poses. And I think Joe Rogan said it the best, and I might butcher this, but he said yoga is like mixed martial arts to your own body. So when you sit in these poses, you're sitting there and you're shaking and you're just trying to hold it. And it's pretty true because I thought I was a pretty badass guy. I walked into a fighting ring and I got tied up and I got humbled and I loved it. Same thing with yoga. I thought I was pretty flexible, and I go into some of these things. I'm like, holy crap, and I'm just holding it, holding it, holding it. It's one of the best workouts I can do and I've done. So
It's
yeah, I love
what
it.
it is a favorite thing to do.
Yeah. Well,
Still to this.
how did you get into yoga? What was your yoga journey?
Well, my yoga journey, it started when my youngest was 2. And back in, he's now 26. So 24 years ago, around that time, the only thing that was really available was Bikram.
Hmm.
Like now I feel like you can find a yoga studio in every corner, which is amazing. I think
And,
that the more yoga, the better.
and that's the
Um,
hot one, right? That's the hot?
yeah,
Okay.
it's hot. It's done in like 104 to 110, depending on the studio. It's 26 of the same poses. So there's no movement. It's always structured under Bikram style. There's different variations of it now that people have opened it up. But back in the day, it was only Bikram, 26 poses, and nothing changed. The only thing that really changed is maybe the depth of the postures. When you got stronger, you got deeper. But to be honest, Bikram really wasn't for me. Like I knew it was good for me, but I was connected more to like the meditation part of it. I knew when I left, I felt good. I'm more of a spiritual person, so I was more connected to that.
Mhm.
I kept doing it because I knew it was good for me, but I still didn't like hold like deep in my heart the Bikram style. And nothing to say bad or good about it. Everyone enjoys different kinds of yoga.
Mhm.
As long as you're doing yoga, it doesn't matter. But I knew I kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it, and then slowly different studios started to open up and different kind of variations of yoga. There was like Kundalini, there was a vinyasa, things that were more accessible so that you could try all these different things and you can find out what you really loved. And when I found vinyasa, I was like hooked. It
Yeah.
was a move. I love to move my body. It was still challenging. Um, you still got to connect to the breath. You still got to start slow and end
Oh,
slow. For me, it was during that journey, I started practicing a lot and I was doing it all the time, all the time. And then everyone kept on saying, God, you're doing yoga so much. Like, you should become a teacher. And I was like, no, not me. Like, I'm not a teacher. Like, I never even thought about really teaching. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just do it and deepen my practice. And I did it and I loved it. And I've been teaching ever since.
and how long ago was that?
Been about 10 years.
Okay. So you can do yoga every day. Is that something
Yes.
like I couldn't, like you said, bicep curls. I couldn't go in the gym and do bicep curls 7 days a week. But you can do yoga every day. Does it have to be a different, like you said, vinyasa? I'm not too familiar with all the different types, but does it have to be a different type every day, or can you do vinyasa every single day?
You can do yoga every day because like in like my flows, right, I change my flow every day, so we work on something different every day.
Hmm.
But you should change up for your body, right? It wouldn't be bad for you to do yoga every day because there's so many different types of yoga. You can do restorative yoga one day, you can
Hmm.
do a vinyasa flow one day, you can do bikram one day. There's so many styles and variations of yoga. You won't be doing the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, you can do yoga every day in different variations. Your body needs so many different things.
Mm.
So I say change it up, but yes, you can do, I do yoga every day. Even it could be a 10-minute flow, 20-minute flow. Remember, yoga, you can lay down. Yoga really is connecting to your breath.
Yeah.
Poses, movement became later. That's something we like brought to yoga.
Hmm.
Yoga at the end of the day is connecting to breath. So yoga means to bring together the mind, the body, the spirit in stillness, connecting to the breath, finding mindfulness. There was no movement. It was trying to get out of your head and living in the present moment. That's what yoga really is. So if you show up on your mat and breathe for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, hopefully get it longer and longer as you meditate, you're practicing yoga. So you should absolutely practice yoga every day. Now, the movement adding on to that, you can do that every day too. It's not going to hurt your body
Yeah.
if you move without ego.
Yeah. So how long
Because
does it go ahead?
I learned a long time ago when I was first starting out yoga, like I wanted to go the biggest, the deepest. I wanted to do it in every bind. I wanted to try every inversion. And now that I'm older, like I don't care about those things,
Yeah.
you know? And so you learn, your practice gets deeper. The more you practice, you start to understand really what it is, um, and what is the most beneficial for your body. And those things weren't beneficial for me,
Yeah. Is it good
like
to
body,
set I'm sorry, go ahead.
like body wise.
Yeah.
Like it was working, it wasn't making me stronger. It was creating injury, right? Going to the max, going the deepest, trying to go this up to here. Like I was noticing that was causing more havoc on my body. Where, if you're doing that, no, you can't practice every day. And eventually you won't be able to practice yoga at all.
Yeah. Is it good to set goals, like for fitness goals or MMA goals, what goals in life? Should you set a goal in your yoga journey, or how does that work?
I mean, I think everything is goal oriented, but at the same day, don't be attached,
Hmm.
right? Because every day is different. Like we all wake up hoping that we're going to have the best day ever. Like that's the goal, right? We always enter a workout, go on the mat, go on your yoga mat. We always try to be the best that we can be. And sometimes that doesn't work out, and you have to be okay with that because attachment creates suffering. And then your yoga practice suffers. So I think throughout life, it's a lesson, right? Everything that we do, we go in and we try to be the best that we can. And you just have to morph into how you're feeling that day, emotionally, physically, mentally. That's the union of yoga. And you go from there. You don't start with the practice, you go from inside. And that allows you to have your best practice. And it might be laying on your mat half the time.
Yeah. Can you do so? Like, say if I want to have like right now I'm in a health challenge for a group I'm in. Can you add yoga with cardio and strength training, or how do you tie in those two with yoga, or can you just do yoga all around and just that's the killer workout?
No, because I think everyone should be lifting weights. I
Yeah,
mean, that at the end of the day, like, we all, there's different levels of strength and limberness, and yoga is for different things, but I think everyone should be weight training. It doesn't have to be like, you're not bench pressing, like your goal isn't like heavyweight or to be some fitness model or anything, but it's, you know, strong bones. We're getting older, we need muscle mass. Um, I teach a yoga sculpt class. It's yoga with weights. There's cardio. We do yoga. We do cardio. We do biceps, triceps.
yeah,
Um, all of my students do that every other day. They do a flow class and they do a yoga strength class and they do a flow class. So they lengthen, strengthen. So I think it's imperative to be doing other things other than just yoga. I think one thing all the time is not good,
yeah.
right?
I agree. Yeah, mixing it up, whether it's weights, cardio, or whatever. Like I run, then I do stairs one day, and then I obviously surf a lot and boxing, and but yeah, mixing it up is good. But your sculpting class, I mean that I think I don't know if you still talk to Curtis, but we went in there thinking, oh, we're big guys, we're gonna go in there and crush this class, and that thing put us on our ass. That was that is a severe kick-ass class you have there.
Well, it's a little bit different. I think more challenging for men in the beginning because men are used to isolating different muscles at one time, right? So, and not all men work legs,
Yeah,
because a lot of, like, I'm wearing shorts, like I wear pants, like why do I have to work my legs? And note to men, work your legs. But in our yoga classes, we do compound movements, right? We do lunge with bicep curl. We do lunge with tricep. So a lot of men don't do that. They isolate the biceps, they work their back, they work their chest, they work their shoulders. Nothing is happening like usually they work their legs separately.
yeah,
If they work them,
yeah.
a lot of men don't legs. But so when you guys get in there, you're doing a lunge with a bicep curl. So we're doing compound movements, which is a lot different than just standing there and doing biceps,
Yeah.
right?
Do
And
you
you're
go ahead.
working.
Do you get a lot of athletes or people from other walks of life that come into you and you get them hooked on yoga?
I think that everybody that walks into a yoga class and finds a connection to the teacher and community will be hooked on yoga.
Yeah. Oh, I lost you there.
I think the key is, I think that anybody that walks into a studio that finds a connection to a teacher and to a community will fall in love with yoga.
Yeah.
So, you said, I'm not the teacher for everybody. You know what I mean? Maybe my style isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
It's weeding out and finding a connection to a teacher and a community. And I think that if you do that, you will fall in love with yoga.
Yeah. Well, then
It's
I thank you because you're the first person I did yoga with. And then for those that don't know, we were at Equinox. I had other people and I was like, man, this isn't really my jam. I got to stick to Sandi because that's what I my first introduction to yoga and I was hooked and I was like, this is badass. And so I told you through a social media that you should start your own YouTube channel because I think your style of yoga, especially for like the people like me who are very athletic and into self-defense, like I remember Chris Newton back in the
yeah.
day, he made fun of me for going to yoga and I still talk to him and we do a lot of stuff together. And I need to get you somehow where I can go, oh, go to Sandi's YouTube channel and change their mind like you changed mine. Because you got these big burly guys who are walking around thinking they're badasses. I'm like, go to one of Sandi's sculpting class. You will not think you're a badass.
Well, the fact that I'm even talking to you on camera is a big deal because I hate being photographed or being on camera. I'm much better in person.
Yeah. Well, that's what I wanted you to on, and you were like, well, what am I going to talk about? I'm like, talk about, I mean, like I said in the beginning, like I'm doing a self-defense like mastermind group, and it's obviously gun control, MMA, mixed Muay Thai, boxing. You got to learn how to protect yourself, but part of that is fitness. And yeah, we can lift weights, we can do cardio, but yoga for me is part of my journey, it's part of my repertoire, because it helps me so much. Like I told you, I was in Cabo recently. I moved out to Cabo. We're back now, but I was doing YouTube videos every morning. I found on YouTube one particular person that I could follow, and it's kind of like you said, you follow one teacher and one instructor, and you gravitate towards that. And so I found the one on YouTube that I liked, and I was doing it every morning in Cabo. Now that I'm back out here, I go to the gym and stuff, and do a little bit more differently. But I think it's a crucial part of being into self-defense and mixed martial arts. I think a big proponent of it is Joe Rogan, right? He promotes it the hell out of it, and he's got this big burly crowd and MMA fighters and everybody. And I think everybody who sees Joe Rogan now is starting to open up their eyes to how badass yoga actually is.
It's so amazing, and we are going to start streaming some classes. We have to figure it out, because if anyone doesn't know, I'm partners at a studio called Alchemy Wellness in Huntington Beach. And so we are going to start streaming classes for people who are on vacation or don't like to come to studios or just want to log on anytime. We're working on that right now because I think it is important. I think some people in this culture right now are still, hesitant, to come back into studios. And I get it, to each its own. So it's all good. I truly just want everyone to know that literally I'm not the best teacher. There's so many teachers out there. I'm not saying I'm the best teacher. There's probably a million. It's the thing is finding a connection to a teacher. If you find a connection to a teacher, you'll show up to class. And the hardest part is showing up.
Yeah.
So you have to find some place that you feel like you can call home. And I think that's why community is so important to me. Like, I love people.
Yeah.
I love people more than everyone knows that I need them just as much as they need me. Like, I can't do this alone. Like, I show up into my classes and I get to absorb all the energy that's in the studio. So I want you there. Like, I need you there. I need your energy just as much as you need my energy. So it's very important for us to build a very strong, that was been the very foundation of Alchemy is the community. Because if you feel safe, if you feel like you can cry on your mat, if you feel you can laugh, if you are missed, there's sometimes people are meeting people and then all of a sudden, like, they're gone for 3 days and somebody will say, oh, that guy in the back corner? He always goes in that back corner. I haven't seen him. Where is he? And people wonder, and they worry, and they want you to show up, and they care about you. And that's going to make you come to your mat and feel safe. That's the most important part of yoga, besides the breath, meditation, community. Everything else falls into place.
Yeah. Well, you touched over it briefly, but during COVID, how affected were you? Already at that studio during COVID, or how did COVID affect your yoga?
So I think for the first month, I think everyone thought this isn't going to last long. So I think everybody was like sleeping in, chilling. It was like a vacation, right? Like, I'm gonna take a break. And then by third, fourth weekend, I'm like, you know what? Me, I'm very structured. If anyone knows me, I wake up at 2:30 in the morning, 2:45. I do my skincare, I do my workout, I go to the studio, I teach. I'm very structured. Without attachment though. Like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So then I was noticing, like, Sandi, this is not going to last forever. You need to stay structured. So I started getting up, not at 2:30 or 3, but I would get up at 4 or 5. I would do my own yoga practice. I would get on my Peloton. Luckily, I had one before COVID. I would get on my Peloton. A month into that, I had students starting to reach out and saying, I'm losing my mind. Are you teaching yoga? And I'm like, I'm not, but we'll figure something out. Then I had a friend that had a warehouse. And he's like, it's a really big warehouse. We can social distance. We started with that very small group of people. So people were starting to get moving. And then I had other students start to reach out. And it was like, can you come to my house with 4 people? We can social distance. Then that went to beach. Then that went to park. And then I taught all through COVID outside, all through COVID. Then only about 9 months ago, I started teaching for a recovery center called Wavelengths. And I was teaching to the staff. And then my partner had this beautiful space. And I'm like, you have a beautiful space. And her name's Heather. And she wanted to build community and she wanted to create health and wellness. And but she needed somebody to like have the same dream as her. Mm-hmm. And so I started bringing my students that were outside here, and then we started this organically, but exactly the way we want. We have amazing members now. So it's like I said, it grew from this seed and this like passion for creating this community and wellness, that we have all this amazing studio, and now it's just people want more. So it's been, and I love that it's been organic, and I love that Heather and I both have this dream of course, like, we would like to have enough that we could be comfortable, but because we want more than that, it's been such a humbling, loving problem. And I think everybody feels that in the studio. I think everybody that walks in feels it. I think they feel it when they leave. And if they don't, it's okay. There's a million other studios. As long as you're practicing, I don't care where you go. Mm-hmm. If you open the door to a practice and maybe vinyasa is not your style, but you understand that yoga is something that you need and you prefer Bikram, I don't care where you go. As long as you're practicing, you need it, we need it, the world needs it. So it's been a beautiful, organic, I hope everyone, if they're in Huntington Beach, comes by the studio. It's a beautiful space.
Yeah. Where is it located at?
It's right off of Magnolia and Adams. It's over by the YMCA. It's right behind the corner. There's a great things happening because we have now a collective that it's going to be more restorative. Mm-hmm. It's more stretch. So we have our power studio. We will have a more restorative studio where people can, connect, breathe more, work on stillness, work on stretching without feeling that they have to do, power flow. Mm-hmm. So we have so many things that are happening that are just where the community is saying we need more of this, and we're like, we want to give it to you. So you got to get here.
I do.
You just got back. Just got back. So can't wait to see you at the studio.
I will. I'll make an effort to come out there. We're in Laguna Niguel right now. I wanted. I don't know if you know Rob McCullough. He's an MMA, and I'm going to go out there and train with him a little bit. So maybe I'll go either before or after to yoga.
We have 6 a.m. classes. We have 5:30 classes. We have 9:30 classes, Saturday and Sunday classes. And they're mainly taught by yours truly. I have a couple other teachers too. We have Ashley. She teaches a lower body press, the perfect peach, just to break things up for people who want a little bit more. She teaches a 45-minute perfect peach. It's all lower body. You can wear shoes on your mat. And then we have Christina that teaches for us, and she teaches on the weekend. And then I am the main teacher on the weekdays, but we're adding more classes as we get more members, and that's growing. Our year anniversary is coming up, so we're gonna have a fun thing that's happening. A little celebration of that.
That's awesome. What do you say to people who are injured and want to take yoga? Like I was saying earlier, people say they have bad backs, and I recommend yoga. Like, how do you say, like, okay, I'm injured, I can't do yoga? What do you tell them? Or, like, how does it help the injuries, and how do you like help the back issues or the quads or something that's going wrong? How does yoga help the actual injury?
Well, there's, first of all, modifications, mm-hmm. right? Blocks. I always say a lot of times people walk into a yoga class, again, like with ego, and they don't grab any blocks or straps because they think like that means they need help, right? So they're not a good yogi, I should say. I say the more blocks and straps and bolsters that you use, the better yogi you are, right? Because you know what you need. Mm-hmm. You know why you're there. You know what your body needs. You need more support. I have all levels in my class. I have injuries. There's blocks to support you. There's modifications. You drop to your knee. There's things that you don't do. You just tell the teacher your injury.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher is aware to tell you what, because the teacher, me, or whoever will know, should know where they're going that day, right? So when I show up for a class, I know where I'm teaching. I know what I'm teaching to. So I know that you need this, this, and that. And then if you come to me, so always tell your teacher, first of all, if you have an injury, so that she can say, hey, in class, we're doing this. So I want you to do this instead, so that I can keep an eye on you. And so when I get to a space where I need to adjust you because maybe that doesn't isn't going to feel good with your injury or something that you shouldn't be doing, I can tell you something different. Mm-hmm. So I, for example, I had tore my hamstring. I did yoga.
Lost you.
The whole time through. I modified everything and I still did yoga. I just didn't do things in my yoga class until I healed it. And now I'm back at yoga.
Did the doctors tell you not to do yoga with your hamstring?
No.
Because I find the doctors usually tell me to do everything that I love to do and don't do it. So I stopped going to doctors because I'm not going to stop surfing. I'm not going to stop fighting. I'm not going to stop. It's just, they tell you always to not do the things that you love to do. And I get it, be smart about your injuries, but I would think a doctor would say with your hamstring, don't do yoga.
Well, I guess I didn't ask my doctor.
That's my motto, don't ask.
Like I didn't ask him.
Yeah.
I listened to my body. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't feel good, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do this instead. I'm my own teacher, right? But I also, because I'm a teacher, I didn't need to ask my teacher. I knew what I could do and what I couldn't do. But that's why it's very important that if you're not a teacher and you're a student, you need to tell your teacher that you have an injury. Mm-hmm. So that she knows why you're not doing something, or she can help you. Like like I said in the beginning, when a student tells me that they have an injury, I already know what I'm going to teach in class that day. Mm-hmm. I can tell them right away, this is what you're not doing, but I'll make sure like I can support you when we get there. Because most teachers should already have a plan.
Yeah.
And obviously you can't do yoga if you have a broken arm, or you can just do all standing, right?
Yeah.
You get back.
Yeah.
It might be hard to balance, but you just do things that don't require you to use your upper body. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of yoga. There's restorative yoga. There's, I don't know. I say, obviously, you take some advice of your doctors to a point, right? And then you listen to your body.
Yeah. Well, I listen to my wife more because she's always.
But most people that I know, but I always tell also like.
Go ahead. What was that?
I always tell people that remember what yoga you're doing too, because I had a student that she hurt her neck and she got cleared with the doctor. But I said, remember that your doctor, tell them you're taking a power yoga class. Yeah. Be mindful of what classes you're taking when you're, injured. Yeah. Right? You have to be smart. If you want to work longer, you have to be smart. Yeah. I was telling you, we cutting in and out there, but my wife started going with me to the doctor visits because I had shoulder surgery. And she would say, well, what did he say? I said, oh, he said, I'm fine. Do whatever you want. And then she caught on that the doctor didn't say that I'm just being an idiot and just tired of sitting on my ass waiting for this thing to heal. So I listen to the wife more than the doctor. Yeah. I like to listen to myself more than other people too. So I get it. Yeah. Because I get it. We know our body, like you're saying, we know our body pretty well. And when I had my shoulder injury, they said, don't surf. And don't do a lot of things. And being out of the water for 9 months was killing me. So I finally said, screw it. And I went surfing and I went to physical therapy the next day. And they said, oh my goodness, they measure how flexible it is. They said, oh, wow, you're so flexible today. This is awesome. We're really doing well. I said, no, I went surfing and it opened up everything on my shoulder. And she finally said, wow, okay, I think you should start surfing again because it really helps your shoulder. I'm like, oh, awesome. Great. Thank you.
So
Well, back in the day, they after surgeries they made you lay in bed. Now they get you up next day. It proves that movement is what the body needs.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, I got frozen shoulder, so it completely just, I mean, froze everything, and I was stuck like that for a while. But the surfing really opened it up. I had to go have another surgery, and the surfing helped it though. And now I roll, I do jujitsu and stuff, and it cracks and crinks and stuff. But overall, it's a lot better. You there?
I mean, listen, with my age, there are things that I don't do anymore. Can you hear me? There
Yeah,
are things that I don't.
yeah,
I don't run anymore. I used to run a lot, and it, with my age, and I just had to retire that. Like it was time. It was time to move on to things that were less, like, had not as much impact on my body.
yeah.
So for me, it was hard to let that go, but now I'm glad that I did.
Well, that's the
So
hard part for me is I'm more stubborn than I am in shape. So I will run, I will pound the shit out of my knees. Like I won't tap at the, it's just stupid things that in my head I'm like, oh, I'm still 25, I can still do this. But the hard part is swallowing the pill that I'm 47, I'm not. Nope, you there? Nope, there
yeah,
you
yeah.
are. Yeah, I need to listen to my body, and I need. Wait, what was that?
Yoga will help you let your ego.
What's that?
I said because you're running on ego.
Yes, I am. 100% I am.
So you have to wait till you're my age, and then it's much easier to let go of things. Because at the end of the day, I'm still stronger than I was before, and I'm just not doing. I'm working smarter.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm in better shape now at 47 than I was at 25. I always in my head am always comparing. Could my 47-year-old now beat the 25-year-old back then? And I'd like to think I could, because I think for me a lot of it is nutrition. Like back then it was just steak, chicken, and alcohol, and now I'd like to think I have a lot better alcohol at least now. But I cleaned up my nutrition and everything, so I'd like to think I could kick my ass, and my 47-year-old can kick my
Well,
25
I think
year
what
old.
it is I think that. Well, the thing is that when you're younger, you can recover from stupid things a lot faster,
Yeah.
right? So it doesn't require you to be smart
Yeah.
back then because you just recover. It's what your body does. But as we get older, we're smarter because we can't recover. So we have to say, what's going to get me to have my 25-year-old body?
Yeah.
So now that all that came easy when you were 25. Now you're like, what's going to get me to have that body? Sleep, alcohol or no alcohol or a little bit of alcohol. Obviously, no drugs. A good diet. I don't know what you eat. Um, Sleep if you can get it,
Yeah.
and moving your community, friends, like all that is very important. We learn to weed out the people that don't, serve us anymore, and that's okay. You find a space where you feel safe and connected. Like you learn that there's power in connection.
Hmm.
You
So
surround your like the same things you do. Like there's a doctor that I follow, and he's like, well, sometimes when you're older, you got to lose friends because if they don't like yoga and they don't like to work out, but they like the pizza and drink, maybe they're not your friends. And for now, for this part of your life, if you're trying to change.
yeah. Well, I look back now, and somebody asked me to go to the bar the other day and during the day and just hang out. And I'm like, what am I going to do at a bar during the day? Like, it's just so non appealing to me now that I was like, no, I'm okay, man. I'd rather hang out with my family and do something fun than sit at a bar for 2 hours or however long. Like, and I used to spend a lot of time in the bar. And now I look back and like, what the hell was I doing? Like, there's no enjoyment for me, or it doesn't sound appealing at all.
You
Yeah.
imagine right now being in a bar for 4 hours.
Oh, no.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird concept.
Yeah.
I can yoga studio for 4 hours though.
100%. And I could do it in MMA or any kind of gym or anything for
Right.
4 hours. And I look back
Yeah.
now and spent, like, I think of all my 20s that I spent in a bar, all the good swells that I missed when out there surfing, and I was in a bar meeting people and doing all that stupid stuff. And I'm like, there's so many waves I passed up because I was choosing to sit in a bar instead of going out and surf all day. But
I
that's what
mean,
we do. We learn, right?
look at us growing up. We should be so proud of ourselves.
We are smarter, right? We did learn from our younger years, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I
I would.
appreciate you coming on. This was awesome because I'm always promoting yoga, and that's why I wanted to have you on, even though you didn't know you could add value. I think this was way valuable to people and myself.
Well, if anything, if anyone leaves with anything, is just to get into a yoga class. It doesn't matter. You don't have to practice 10 classes a week. You just need to find a community, a teacher, someone that, where you can find connection to mind, the body, and the spirit. And it doesn't even have to be a flow. You can literally just go into a yoga class and find meditation.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be movement. Like you can be doing movement in other ways. You can be a runner. You
Yeah.
can, weights and get on your jiu-jitsu mat or whatever. But as long as you find your space, the four corners of your mat, and you connect to mindfulness, union means, or yoga means to bring together.
Hmm.
So it brings balance in the body. So if you're moving someplace else, any kind of movement, you need to come back. And it might not even be a studio. You might have a corner in your room where there's no distraction. And maybe if you like crystals or whatever you like that grounds you, it doesn't have to be crystals. Anything, it could be your surfboard.
Hmm.
Like your surfboard be in the corner. There's something that just grounds you and calms you, where that you can close your eyes and connect. There's so much shit going on in the world that if you can just center yourself, everything that you do from that meditation is just better. You'll create your practice on your jiu-jitsu mat will be better. Your surfing will be better. Your connections with people will be better. Mindfulness creates better eating. Because we move so quickly, we don't even think about what we're putting in our mouths. We're just eating to fuel our bodies, and half the time it's not even something that's nourishing. But if you stop and you question, is it good for me? It's like when you speak, can we question, is what I'm saying necessary? Is it going to make a change? Is it compassion? Or I'm just speaking, I'm still working on it. Like I have a temper, I'm Vietnamese. Like I work on a lot of things. All these things I'm saying, I'm not perfect at. It's just stuff I'm working on.
Yeah.
Right. I know that I'm getting better and better each day at those things. So for everyone who doesn't want to move their body during yoga, connect to the practice of uniting the breath, the mind, the spirit. Start there. That's the most important. Everything else is extra.
Yeah.
That, like, I want everyone to take from this. Yeah, I love to move the body. Yeah, yoga makes me strong. I'm so strong from yoga. Physically, mentally, spiritually, it's made me stronger. But if you don't want to move the body, get connected to the other part of it, the most important part of class. And that's the body, the mind, all of this. This is what we need to take care of. All the other stuff comes after.
If you didn't inspire anyone to do yoga after that, then they don't have a pulse, because that was awesome right there.
It's the truth. It's how I feel. It's
Yeah.
really how I
And that's why you need a YouTube channel to promote that.
I want everyone to come to class so I can give them a big hug and say, you do it.
But
If
imagine
I
all
can,
the people you could reach outside of Orange County that still need that same message.
okay, we'll see how many people think that after they hear me on this channel.
We'll take a poll after this.
Do that. Or you know what they're going to say is like, my kids are going to go like, we were right. Everyone thinks you're crazy.
No, but our, like, the people who have been knuckleheads in their 20s now are smarter, like we are. They'll understand the message. They'll gravitate towards you, because I think you're very knowledgeable. You add huge value, And when was my first yoga class? Probably what, I don't know, 8 years ago plus. And I still follow you on Instagram. I still think, and I still try to implement what I've learned in your classes to this day. So
You know,
you
we're
left a huge
soul,
impact on me.
because we're soul connected.
Yeah, and
Like,
you kicked my ass, so I respect the hell out of you.
but again, it's a connection.
Yeah,
Like, right, find that it's important. Like, it's so important. Like, if you can see somebody and connect on a level that they understand you, that feels good because I don't know. For me, it just, if you can connect to another human being, that's the most important part.
yeah,
And, you know, honestly, if we didn't connect, you wouldn't be thinking about my yoga class.
yeah,
I've I've been to many classes that were great. Like, you know what I mean? But I didn't feel, not that I couldn't connect to anybody, but it was like I just, for me, just not there.
yeah,
It was a great class. And like I said, I'm not for everyone and it's totally fine. But there's going to be someone that you connect out there to, and then will be your, like, where you get into your alchemy, where you find something ordinary and you turn it into extraordinary.
yeah.
And when you
But
can find that,
then I was super fortunate because you were my very first teacher, and we connected. So that was easy
no,
for me because that was my very first one.
I know.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I know. I feel like people come in because I'm weird.
Why are you weird?
Whatever.
Well, I don't
Like,
think
that's
you're weird.
a little weird, quirky. I like her.
Yeah. Well, how
We're
do
friends.
people how can other people find you on your Instagram, social media? How do people reach you?
So I'm at Alchemy Wellness, but you can go onto my Instagram. It's Sandi, Sandi, like beach. Sandi, Sandi, like beach. You'll
Okay.
find the Alchemy page on there. You'll find, I always post things about the yoga studio and what we have going on. You'll just, see if you can connect to me on there. I'm a little crazy on my Instagram, nothing crazy. But I like to have fun. I like to take things not so serious. I feel like things don't need to be serious unless they're serious.
You know
You
what
know?
else I remember about your yoga classes? Halloween, your 31 days
Oh my
of
God.
costumes.
Yeah. So yeah, I did it for 6 years. Every October, through the whole month of October, I did a yoga pose in a different Halloween costume.
That's the key point. Different. Like you didn't every day was something different. And I was impressed.
Different. I remember there are some days that I struggled to find a costume. I remember this one day. I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I didn't have a costume. So I took felt, cut out like leaves, pasted it on my boobs, my crotch, put a wig on, and I was like Eve. Like, the, those are the costumes that like literally were last minute because I was like, I don't have a costume today because I had to do 31 different costumes, and I tried them different every year. Although I always post like the same 10 ones that are my favorite that were just like insane.
Yeah. Well, I
But
remember all of them. They were super creative, and Halloween's my favorite holiday, so I loved it. And I love that you were into it as much. I still dress up, and we go to Halloween Horror Night, and I make a big deal out of it. So I was glad to see that you took the passion as well, and it was awesome.
well, I love to dress up in costume, period. So
Yeah,
any chance, like, if there's a theme or like, I'm in. Like, I'm in for dressing up. I think it's so fun.
yeah,
So like, even if someone told me like we're dressing as dinosaurs tomorrow, I'm like, yes, I can't wait. Like, I love to dress up. So Halloween just seemed like it would be the perfect thing for me to do in yoga poses. That was also difficult, is to do a yoga pose in a costume that you could see.
yeah.
People didn't realize how hard it was. Like, okay, I have to be able to do this costume in this, and people have to understand it. Off the post them back up on my Instagram. I usually take them down every year, but I'll have to post them up
I
so people
think
can see.
for your new YouTube channel that you're gonna do, I think you should post some of those because that would go viral for sure.
Well, if anybody, I just don't know what anybody would want me to do on my YouTube channel, yoga.
Yeah. Like I said,
Well,
I go to YouTube in the morning and say do and type in my yoga, and I do yoga off a YouTube
let's
instructor.
start streaming alchemy classes.
Yeah, and then you just put those on your YouTube channel.
Everyone needs to come in. If you're in Huntington Beach or around the area, come and take a class. I would love to meet everyone. You will love the studio.
All
Not even,
right.
I don't even, okay, just come and say hi and check out the studio. You can choose for yourself whether you like that, but come to my class. I'll make it so much fun. I just want everyone to love yoga.
Yeah.
Like, like our community is so amazing and it's fun. It's got great music. Like I love music. Everyone knows if they know me, I love music. I'm going to a concert tonight to see Jack White. So I love good music in my yoga flows
Where are you seeing Jack White?
at the YouTube Theater
Where's that?
in LA.
My son just played yesterday for his recital of Seven Nation Army. Jack White's one of my favorite
Oh,
guitarists.
tonight.
Oh, I didn't even know. I know he's playing at Ohana, and so I'm gonna get tickets to that, but I didn't know he was out here right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see him tonight. If everyone knows me, I love music. I'm always at concerts, so I always have great music in my yoga flows. It's a little rock and roll. I love everything.
Oh, all right. Well, now I'm all geeked out about trying to get tickets tonight. But
Oh, I mean, well, I'll be there. If you go there, text me.
okay, I'm gonna look into it right now after this. Well, Sandi, I appreciate you coming on. I know you've never done a podcast, so I thank you. You did awesome, and I'll have links for your academy and to your Instagram on the details down here when I post this. But thank you for coming on. What's that?
My first, my first podcast.
And you did
Now,
awesome. All right, thank you, Sandi.
everyone. See you in the
Uh,
studio.
I'll be there this week or next week.
Okay.
Probably next week.
You and all your listeners. I want to meet everybody.
All right. Well, I don't know if you could have room for all those listeners, though.
We'll try.
Okay. All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Sandi.
Bye.
Bye.